Kobolinsky, did Rich Kobolinsky get a hold of you?
He sent an email and said his wife had some surgery and he had to pick her up today or something, so he wasn't able to be in the meeting.
Yeah, she had a hip replacement, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he wasn't going to make it. Okay, so you're aware of that. Okay.
And I guess, Bob, you can hit record.
Yeah, I got it. I'm on now.
So
We're
I guess
on.
I should call the meeting to order. The June 24, 2020 licensing board meeting is called to order. Bob, I guess, do we need to discuss the lack of a quorum, or do we just proceed, or what?
Well, I mean, I'd like to proceed for informational purposes.
Okay.
It's not, I guess it's not an official meeting, but
Yeah. All right. So can we
yeah,
still
we could,
so forth?
yeah.
Okay. So next item on the agenda is review of the minutes of the December 13, 2019 meeting, which I reviewed and looked okay to me. They look okay to you, Larry?
Well, yeah, they do, but I have one question on it. With regard to the new business, and we accepted last year's concrete course for continuing ed.
Yeah.
You can hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we just had a second course on, well, yesterday and June 9th. Can we get that approval and make a change to the minutes, or do we need to make a new proposal and vote on that, today? It'd be 3 more credits, total of 9.
Were those courses the same as the one that was held previously, or were they different?
Well, it was to recertify, but the course was far more specific to inspection and
Okay.
and assigning and understanding the severity codes, et cetera. So it was different information. It was different information.
You know what, Bill?
Yeah.
If I may, if that wasn't introduced at the meeting, I think we should keep it as a separate, a separate item of business.
We'll take that up under new business today.
Yeah, not right. And what I'm saying is, I don't think we can. If it didn't occur in time at that meeting,
right,
we have to consider it as part of today.
Okay.
All right. So we'll do it under new business.
Okay.
So were you otherwise okay with those minutes, Larry?
Yeah, I approve.
Okay. So I guess if we both agree that they're okay, they're approved.
Okay.
So very well.
And then comments and concerns of any person present today. I think we're all right with that. Next is DCP Investigation Division Complaint Status Report.
Yes, this is Pamela Brown.
Hi, Pamela.
Director of Investigations.
Thanks for being with us.
No problem. So I believe that you should have received the board report.
We did.
Okay, so basically there's pretty clear, most of the cases except for one were dispute of facts. So which means what we're seeing, I'll just talk a little bit about it. In general, the complaints come in, and we had there are 7 complaints that we received this year. And so that's not really a bad number for, I believe we have about 500 entities that are registered, credentialed. What we're mostly seeing is what consumers are alleging as missed critical items during the time of the inspection. So once the homeowner purchases the home, they get in there and they have work that needs to be done. However, for the most part, we do see some level of notice to the prospective buyer that if there's something found, then they might need to hire a plumber or electrician to look at some of what they deem as defects of that home. And then the other complaint that we have during this time is just one damage complaint. So that's the trend that we're seeing now with the complaints that are coming in this year, but they're pretty much standard.
Missed items is pretty much the primary item or concern that is
correct.
Okay. And it looks like both of these cases that they've been closed by your department and they're proceeding as a civil matter. Is that correct?
Correct. So when it says dispute of facts, we basically send them back to either small claims court, or if there's a large estimate, over $5,000, and that's going to have to be Superior Court. They may have to get an attorney, but we just basically tell them it is a a civil matter.
So you make some effort to bring the home inspector and the client together to resolve it, or?
Yes, when we receive a complaint, we send a letter to the respondent, to the home inspector, and they get a copy of the written complaint that comes in so that they have a chance to respond to us, which we ask for a written response within 10 days of receipt. And they will talk to us. We try to mediate. Sometimes the home inspector will say, well, here's a refund of the fee that you paid me.
Right.
Or it just doesn't get resolved, and we try to do what's called an informal mediation. It's not a formal mediation, and if we can't reach an agreement, then we just tell the complainant that they need to proceed in civil court.
Okay.
Okay. Do you take a position on whether the inspector followed the standards that are in the complaint?
Do you mean we look at the statute and the regulations?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, with these complaints, we do see for the most part that they do actually tell the individuals that, so if they have a double tapped electrical panel, that they need to hire an electrician. Or if they find like there's something, structural wrong, there's a basement issue, or a deck looks a little off, that they need to get a structural engineer. So in most cases we do see that, if that's what you're asking.
I guess I'm asking if you state whether or not the inspector followed the standards or he did not. Do you take a position on that at all?
We will look at, yes, whether or not there's something like an error or an omission. We'll look at that, and if it needs to go through to our legal department for further, like a compliance meeting or a hearing. So we let the hearing process make the final determination on that. So if we do find something that needs to escalate to our legal department, yes, we would do that. But
Okay.
whether it's there's due process, so they get a chance to speak their side, and as long as, like I said, we're looking at mainly their contract. I mentioned before in another board meetings, contract law applies as well as unfair trade practices. So yes, whatever the standard is within the industry, and then if it doesn't meet that, then it goes up to legal. I'm not saying that we're for the contractor or for the complainant. We just basically look at the documents, look at the contracts, look at the written statements, and we make an assessment from there.
Okay. Do you review the inspector's report?
Yes, those documents are sent to us. We need the inspector's report, any correspondence that they would have had with the prospective buyer, their client, and as well as any communication back and forth with the prospective buyer. And then we ask the same from the complainant. Give us all that you have, and then we actually analyze the documents.
Okay.
And so if there is an opportunity, so the inspector writes back and say, I told them that they needed to hire a structural engineer, and then we'll send that to the complainant, We'll send that to the complainant, and they have an opportunity to do a rebuttal. So there's a little bit of back and forth, but it's done through the documents.
Okay. Most of the time, do you find that whatever the dispute is about, there is something in the report that kind of identifies it as a potential issue?
For example, we had one case where, and I review these cases, so I'm not going to name the respondent because I'm not sure if it's an open or closed one.
Sure.
Where they said there was an issue with the plumbing under the sink.
Yeah.
So that was considered a missed item, right? So in that particular case, I did not see a specific notation or photo for that particular, the kitchen item, but there was a general overall overarching suggestion that they have a plumber come in.
Okay.
But that's just one particular
Yeah,
complaint file.
yeah. So that overriding this recommendation regarding a plumber did not specifically reference the problem under the sink, so,
Yes.
okay.
And, when people get into their homes, they're living in it now, and they're going to see more things than they would have during the 4-hour,
Right,
4-hour inspection, so.
right. And then the other question is whether it was there the day of the inspection. They move in 2 months later, but
Right.
it's pretty clear it was or wasn't.
Right.
Okay, but so far though, we aren't having a lot of complaints and.
No, I actually, like I said, for the 513 credentials, thus far in 2020, we're halfway through the year, there are seven complaints.
Okay. And there's only 4 on this report, so.
Yeah, you're going to see those 4 because those are actual closed complaints. You won't see the open complaints because they're still
They're
being
pending.
investigated.
I see, okay. So we'll see them at a later date.
Yes.
Okay. Well, looks good to me. What do you think, Larry?
Yeah, no, I'm okay with it. Yep.
All right.
Well, good. Thank you very much, Pamela.
Thank you. I'm going to sign off unless you need me to stay on for.
I don't think
I think
so.
I'm good to go, right?
No?
Yeah, I think you are.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Pam.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business. I don't know, we have any old business? I don't think we do we? New business
Only what Bruce was checking in on something.
on
Not
the
in the meeting.
on that
Yeah,
on that Trinity College certification
right.
thing, which,
Well, yeah, whether or not they had developed a standard yet.
Right.
Yes,
yeah, and I haven't heard anything from him on that, and he's not here, so
right.
we'll just maybe
Right.
carry that over.
For the pyrite? Yeah, for the pyrite.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
pyrite, yeah.
Yeah, pyrite, yeah.
We'll put that on, maybe we'll put that on the old business for the next meeting.
Carry over to, okay.
Under new business, we've got a pre-licensing school that's Applied World Inspection Network.
Mr. Larry, if I can, Bill? I've contacted them several times to send, their report isn't, their submission's not complete, it's not in a PDF. I was trying to convert it, what they had, to a PDF format to send out. They haven't submitted their complete package yet.
Okay,
And as of 3 days ago, I emailed them. I put them on the agenda in the hopes that, we would get it on time, but I don't have it yet. I could always
Okay.
email it to the board subsequent to the meeting, just for a preliminary review.
yeah,
Once
if
I
it comes
get
in, once you get
Yeah.
it, complete package, why don't you
Yeah.
do that, Bob, and then we'll be able to look at it and discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
That
I
makes sense.
contacted him
All
a
right.
couple of times. He seemed to be, he wants to get going on it. I told him you got to submit it.
Yeah, that's the preliminary thing to do, you're right. Okay. So maybe under new business, Larry, let's circle back to your course, the concrete course.
Right.
2 recent recertification courses. This is for the inspection of failing foundations.
Right.
Okay,
There were 3-hour courses, June 9 and yesterday. So 3 additional hours.
the June 9 course and the yesterday course, basically the same?
Right, yeah. Yeah, there was only certain number were allowed at the first one, whoever registered first. And then a second was scheduled, and last I heard it was yesterday.
Okay, so, and we had previously approved the June course, is that right?
Yeah, according to the minutes.
Okay. So we should probably,
For CE, Bill, right? I'm sorry, for CE.
go ahead, Bob?
They're approved for, you're talking about for continuing education.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct, yep.
So if we previously approved the course for June, and it was reissued or held again on June 23rd. So it was on June 9th and June 23rd are the two dates.
Correct, yeah.
So we ought to approve both of those dates for continuing education.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I would agree. So I guess, Bob, you can just make the appropriate notation on that. We would.
Yep.
It's
So,
the same course, then now it's additionally approved for the 23rd.
right, basically, right. Okay.
Do you know the name? Can you tell me the name of the course? Was there a formal?
There was a syllabus on it, I think, right, Larry?
We didn't get anything in writing.
Or just,
It
how do I
was
list the
a-
course?
We did that.
The initial one in
Last-
2019 was for certification of inspection of crumbling foundations. We can check back and see if they had some other name.
Who are the
It was
presenters?
when, Jose Albane
Yeah.
and Kevin Miller.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Same two guys.
Kevin Miller, yeah.
So you would say the syllabus for this one was a little bit different than the one from the original certification?
Yeah, yeah.
Could you contact Kevin and Jose and see if they could just email the syllabus and then we can forward that on to Bob?
Yeah, I'll see what we can get. We may have to go to that guy McGlaris, or Kevin.
I think
Um,
when I did it last year, they were both Jose and Kevin were willing to send their
yeah,
syllabus.
yeah. Well, Jose was not part of the recertification,
Oh, he
on the
wasn't?
9th and yesterday. No,
Who
no.
were the presenters for that?
Well, Kevin Miller was, and then McGlaris was on the meeting also, and so was one of the underwriters for the program, and so they offered information, during the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But Miller was the lead presenter. Kevin Miller.
And would have sort of an overall summary of or outline of the meeting that would be helpful to Bob for certification.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll reach out to those guys.
Okay.
I'll reach out to those guys and see if we can get something that could maybe be used independently for each session, last year's and this year's.
I think I
Yeah,
gave.
course name and hours asked for, so we could list it on it, put it on our list of approved courses for CE.
Right.
I think I got those two summaries. I got one from Jose and one from Kevin last year, and I think I sent it to Bob for the 19 certification meeting. So he had that information. So anything that anything similar that you could get for this year would probably be good.
Okay.
Okay. And then also under new business, and I wanted to just kind of raise the issue of, in anticipation of next year's license renewal, we're obviously without the ability to have meetings. CAHI's suspended their meetings since March. So everybody's kind of behind in their continuing education. And I'm sure, we should at least think about whether we can modify the CEU totals needed to renew next year, depending on how long this goes, and they're not able to hold meetings. Richard, do we have any flexibility with that? Can we make changes?
You could make a motion or what have you. You could have the commissioner to the governor's office do executive order to waive the continuing education for the one renewal year if you want to. the electrical board and plumbing board right now are looking at this issue, and they're either extending the deadline to take the CE, but still renew at the same time. They're also considering live interactive classrooms. And they're also considering deleting the CE altogether. So they haven't made up their minds yet, but in addition to doing live classroom sessions, they're talking about doing online CE classes.
Yeah.
And those seem to be working pretty good for our real estate and appraisal commissions for continuing ed. So that might be an option too, people should look at.
Who's doing those, Richard? Is the board doing it, or are the individual trade
The
associations?
individual schools, there are various applications they can get to do an online class, and they just submit it with their submittal of what they want to teach. And then, you know, we approve it, and then they can do online classes. And then they upload who they teach again to PSI. Everything's the same except for the online class.
Not in
So
person.
I should
Okay.
send you guys a draft of proposed virtual training requirement that the plumbing board and electrical board is looking at. If you
Yeah, I'd
guys
like to
wanna
see that.
Mm.
That'd be
Yeah.
helpful.
And it might be the way to go anyway. But don't you already accept online classes for CE?
Yeah, we do.
Schools offering it?
We
Yeah,
do.
we do. We have a number that are approved, right, Bob?
Yes, we do. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're already doing
Yeah.
it. So that's, the
Okay.
only thing is,
Yeah.
the trade associations probably want to really have their active meetings, but they may have to consider to hang on to the CE that they're teaching, and they'll have to charge through doing an online course.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, we have a lot of CE, online CE.
Right.
those are all listed on the
Okay.
website, aren't they, Bob?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
But I think as it is now, each inspector would have to individually pay to take the course. Is that correct?
Well, if that's what the
I would
school,
take-
I mean, if the association doesn't want to charge because they're paying the association dues, then that's up to the association. Is that where you're coming from?
Well, I don't know that the association actually offers any online courses, CAHI.
No,
But
but if
these courses that we, go ahead.
they could if they want to, and the courses that are currently online that are private vendors or whatever you call them, I'm not sure, maybe Bob would know if everyone charges or whether some of them waive the fees. I'm not sure.
Right. Well, that's what we'd have to look into. The other thing that came up a few months ago was the American Society of Home Inspectors, I thought, was offering some virtual courses, not just to their members, but to others. Maybe we can back up and look. I haven't seen anything else about that. Did you see any emails about that, Bill?
Yeah, I do. Now that you mention it, I do recall seeing that they didn't do their. I'm not sure if I don't think that they did their annual convention this year, which was going to be January or February. I think it got caught right at the beginning of the COVID thing, and that I thought they put it online. They had a lot of the same courses available that you could watch online. And I thought, based on what you're saying, it rings a bell that maybe it was free to any home inspector.
Yeah.
So if that's available and it's out there, that might solve the problem too.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Bob could always do a mass mailing to all home inspectors to remind them of CE that's coming up and what they owe or will owe, and that they should be looking towards our website for online courses that are available.
And Bob, do you know offhand whether most of those courses have a fee, or do they just have advertisements in them that makes up the cost for that? Do you have any idea?
I think it's kind of both, Bill. I think I do recall seeing fees for the online courses. Some, I think, are, as you said, the sponsors, are covered by the sponsor advertisements.
Okay.
But I have definitely seen fees.
Okay. All right.
I think it would be good if the trade associations would look into doing online courses.
Yeah.
So that they can, maintain their membership and keep their groups collected together, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
I hate to see the trade associations start to lose out because everybody's just going someplace else, you know?
Right.
yeah, maybe we should contact the, I don't even know who the president of CAHI is right now. I'll find out and maybe make a phone call and
Right.
see if they're interested in doing something. It would seem like they would want to. As you say, Richard, kind of keep things together.
Well, and it's good for the membership to know they can go to their
Right,
association
right.
to fill their requirements.
Right. Okay.
Why don't, I mean, there's no huge rush on this. Why don't I look into what Kahi's thinking about? So all those courses are listed on the website, Bob, so I could go in and start poking around and seeing how much they charge and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, they're pretty much, I mean, there's maybe a few that haven't been updated recently, but I mean, we haven't had that many submissions since this whole
Right. Okay,
pandemic, but yeah, there's a lot online.
okay.
So Bob, you should probably get the link and forward it to the board members, all the board members, so they know
Yep.
the access.
That'd be
what
good.
courses have been approved for CE.
That'd be helpful, Bob.
Right, I can-
Right.
Start looking.
Yeah,
Sure, I
very
can forward the
helpful.
link.
Okay,
Yep.
All right, great. That'd be good.
Well, the page and the link so they can read the requirements for CE and then also see where they got to click on to look up courses that are approved.
yeah. Okay, that'll be good. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Richard. That'll be good.
Sure.
Any more? I don't think we need to talk about, are we pretty much done with that one, Larry, you think?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do some more homework on it.
Yeah. Correspondence. Bob, I don't think we have any correspondence, do we?
I don't, Bill.
Okay.
I do not.
Comments or concerns of any person present today? We don't have any that I'm aware of.
Nope.
And then our meeting schedule. So our next one will be September 15th, either in person or by Zoom, depending on where we are at the time, I guess, right?
Right.
Right.
And then December 8th. I don't think we have anything else on the agenda.
Do we know why Bruce and Richard, did they indicate to you, Bob, they wouldn't be able to make it?
Rich Kobolensky sent an email to the board that his wife broke her hip replaced, and he had to go get her from rehabilitation today. But
And what about
Bruce,
Bruce?
Bruce, we heard nothing from. I actually sent him a separate email last week, asked him to let me know if he was going to be here. No response. I just texted him this morning to see if
no
he was
response.
here. No response.
Yeah, it seems pretty
I
easy
saw
to
your
go
email.
on Zoom.
Is that Richard?
It seems pretty easy to go on the Zoom, either call
Yeah.
in or video. So,
Or at least let us know if you're not going to be here.
right.
Right. Right.
Anyway, I'll try and get a hold of him too and see what's going on.
Okay.
All right, so we got a few things to work on and between here and September, and
Yes.
hopefully maybe in September we'll be in the same meeting room. We certainly be able to keep a 6-foot distance in that room with only the 3 of us
Yeah.
or 4 of us that are
Yeah,
there.
I don't think getting into the building is going to be easy though.
No, you don't think we'll be back by September, Richard?
Well, no, there's 4,600 people in those 2 towers, and
Yeah.
if they start flooding everybody back in, but at the same time telling everybody stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah,
How do you get to be 6 feet apart in the elevator?
yeah,
And you know,
yeah, that is a challenge.
They may not do it too quickly,
Okay,
Right.
well, we'll see what happens.
but you save mileage
Right.
today, you don't get mileage money.
Right.
So all the
we
board
do.
members are going to have a deficit.
All right, well, I tell you what, Richard, next meeting we're going to have in your backyard, right where you are now. That looks like a
Oh,
good,
that's my mom's place, yeah.
well, we'll go over there. That'll be all right.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
won't mind. She's been, so you gotta sit outside if you go visit her.
That'll be great.
Yeah, it's gotta be a nice day.
It's a beautiful
There's
view.
plenty of room.
Yeah,
That's
Sure looks
actually,
like it.
in the background is Canaan Mountain. So that
Yeah.
property on that flat mountain ridge,
yeah,
that's owned by the Childs family, and it's called the Great Mountain Forest. It's about 3,000 acres. And they've had it for decades. And so it's a private forest, and Yale School goes up there with their forestry classes, and lots of different events occur up there.
What town is it in?
That's actually, well, it's a combination of Cornwall and Canaan, Connecticut, for
Yeah.
that mountain.
Hmm.
And it's called the Great Mountain Forest. So if you Google Great Mountain Forest, probably they would use Falls Village, Connecticut. Falls Village is a village within the town of Canaan. But if you Google Great Mountain Forest, oh, Norfolk's up there too. That's right, Norfolk is up there. So it's kind of choppy for property lines, but,
It's just a
Right.
wilderness area. There's nothing in there really.
pardon me?
Just a big wilderness area. Big.
It's a wilderness area, and they have various buildings and things like this for research and study. And
Oh,
there's, if you go on their website, they got executive director and all kinds of people doing stuff.
Huh.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move, we adjourn. I have to
Yeah.
go.
I think we are.
Okay, we good?
Let's adjourn and we'll see you on the 25th.
all right,
Okay.
take care.
All right, thanks, guys. Take
Bye now.
care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. We'll see you soon.
Yep. We'll be in touch, Bill.